My travels through California went south with the birds as I left Joshua Tree for the shores of the Salton Sea. It seemed picturesque enough, but after getting a little closer by an abandoned boat launch near Niland, something foul was in the air, and it wasn't just waterfowl. The shores were covered in rotting fish, the result of too much salt and no new water. Throw in a little agricultural runoff and a lot of livestock from factory farms, you get a place that's no good for camping. Next stop, Slab City. And what is Slab City? It's not something that's easily described, but if you're looking for something different from a beach or a forest this holiday, you've got it. When I entered, I had little to go on, just rumors of a counterculture society full of hippies, misfits, and artists, but I really didn't do my research. I was hoping to start without too many assumptions or opinions and just experience it as I go. My initial need was a place to camp, and with every spare piece of land and art statement, I could only find a spot east of town. Not the most attractive real estate. It turns out I had another problem besides just location. Well, as fate has it, I'm in the hot desert and one of my solar panels fried. Top one is completely useless. It's not giving me enough amperage or power to even run my cooler. But I'm in Slab City. And in Slab City, if you need something, in 5 minutes you'll find it. And sure enough, put word out, and I got this 40-watt panel here for 20 bucks. I've got it jimmy rigged into the controller. Let's see if that works. After temporarily solving my energy crisis, I biked into town to try to figure out what this place was all about. On a hillside it looks peaceful enough, a collection of trailers, new and old, scattered across the landscape. But up close, you find traces of a Marine Corps barracks abandoned in the 60s, the foundations left, now called slabs. In a section called East Jesus, which is actually northwest of Slab City and has nothing to do with its namesake, is the heart of self-expression. All junk is art, and all art is junk, depending on who's doing the interpretation. You certainly have a visual potpourri to stimulate the senses, with every corner and angle revealing a new perspective to ponder. But my personal favorite was this rustic piece erupting from the desert sand. Of course this gets compared to Mad Max. It's insane, but it's brilliant. This is my sizzling sunset meal. A little teriyaki tofu, a zucchini, and some rice. Cooking in a dump didn't help my appetite, so in the morning I headed for better surroundings. What could be more inviting than camping under huge buzzing power lines? I may grow a third eye, but at least I'm closer to one of the main attractions, Salvation Mountain. Once a sandy hill, Salvation Mountain is now buried under cement and Technicolor latex as one man's vision of biblical proportions. I guess it's a dedication to all things Christian, but to me it has more in common with Willy Wonka than the Savior. It's also a great background for pretty girls to have their picture taken. And I did have to have a stroll up that yellow brick road to see if God or the wizard awaited me. But it was all uplifting and eye candy for the soul. But the real buzz was a trip inside the mountain. This was Billy Graham on acid. Well, I wouldn't say I was slumming it. I'm kind of slabbing it, because it's Slab City. You've got to make use of your environment to your own advantage, and that's what the people do here. And I'm just an outsider. I'm just a traveler, but it's nice to try to fit in a little bit, even though I don't. They're incredible people. The versatility is just absolutely amazing here. But I'm moving on, and a lot of them are staying here. Some of them have been here for years and even decades. But it's nice to experience other people's way of living. And that's what I do when I travel. But my experiences were not over, as my last morning had a surprise awaiting. A scroll was lying on my chair. So here's what the note says. Our paths crossed again. This chart is for your people in Canada. Will explain if you want the creators to do so. Respectfully, Larry Gates. So who's Larry Gates? While watching seagulls at Salton Sea a few days before, a kind elderly man came to me and shared an apocalyptic prophecy based on what day was actually the Sabbath. Overwhelmed by the smell of dead fish, we parted company. Let's see what we got here. Well, it was a little heavy for me. But when you put the Dead Sea, a scroll, and Salvation Mountain together, you get the Dead Sea Scrolls. My souvenir from Slab City. With souvenir in hand, I now had to ponder what I knew about Slab City. Interpreting the chart was just like deciphering the graffiti, both a little beyond my reach. But I did feel a little enlightened to a place where self-expression means more than money, where beauty and hope lies beside filth and abandonment, where salvation is a trip in an old Jeep Wagoneer, and God is really a goddess. What's it all mean? Don't ask me. You know, I've always heard that it was sort of like a hippie colony, and you always get these pictures of peace, love, and groovy, and happiness, and love to all, and all that, but it's not always that way.
anywhere where there's a lot of people that are creative and emotional, and they're in a tight-knit community where the walls are paper thin, there's a little drama in the background. There's always something happening behind the scenes. I was getting a little bit of a bad vibe, so it was time for me to move on. I mean, some of the art is absolutely beautiful and wonderful, and some of it's profane. So you got to take a little bit of both. Art isn't always pretty. Anyway, always go where the road takes you.